Hello everyone, welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. Just popping in to do a quick review of one of my favorite viewing experiences recently, which is, of course, The Paper, the spin-off of The Office. So, in the interest of keeping this brief, we're trying to be a little more concise. Brevity, as they say, is the soul of wit. Three things I loved about this show were, first, the cast, the humor, and the optimism. The cast is extremely excellent. I loved everything about this show and its cast. It is really one of those shows that excels because it has, a pretty talented roster that really mesh well with each other. We have Donald Gleason, who's playing Ned Sampson, the new CEO of The Paper, the Toledo Truth Teller. We have Sabrina Impacciatore, who, of course, enchanted us all in the White Lotus season 2. We have Chelsea Frey. We have Gabisola Ukumelo. We have a whole bunch of people. Fantastic. They work extremely well together. I will say that Sabrina Impacciatore is probably my favorite part of the show. Deliciously daffy, but also strangely subtle and, even a little bit vulnerable at times, which is a really hard thing to pull off. So the cast is really top-notch. They really knock it out of the park in this first season. Humor is also really on point. I like the cringe style a little bit with The Office, but this show is far less acerbic, and it really, I think, doesn't poke as much fun at its cast, or it's not as cruel in its humor as I think The Office could be, particularly in its early seasons. And so I think that, much like Parks and Rec, which I think this show is more like than it is like The Office, it really is, a bunch of lovable eyeballs who are doing the best they can to build up this newspaper once the sort of eternally optimistic, rather naive Ned comes in. Which, of course, leads me to my third point, which is that it's the optimism. I love optimism in TV. I think that it's very easy to get washed, sort of swept up in cynicism. But now we have this sort of growth of these new sitcoms, I'm thinking also of Happy's Place, that are really just really solid shows about people doing their best in very, sometimes less than ideal circumstances. And so, unlike Parks and Rec, which was very much an Obama-era show, this is very much an era for the Trump show, with the struggles of journalism to succeed in the new environment. But it does really show that there is something worth fighting for with journalism, and that journalism still has a lot to give the world. So, I really enjoyed The Paper. I thought it was much better than I expected. I did not expect to fall in love, but it made me really love the sitcom form, and I really just think that that's an extraordinary accomplishment. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's streaming now on Peacock. I do think that it's already been renewed for another season, so it's definitely worth checking out because I think it's just a delight. It's one of those shows that makes you feel better about the world, makes you feel better about yourself, and it's also really, really funny. So that's all I have for today. So as always, thanks for joining the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm your host, TJ. Take care, y'all.